In this video, I want to talk about how families actually fucks us up. And we don't even realize that. We are fed so many of these narratives wherever we go. Family, where life begins and love never ends. Family is not an important thing, it's everything. The strength of a family, like the strength of an army, lies in its loyalty to each other. By the way, this video is actually sponsored by myself, by my own one-on-one coaching program to break up with your parents. But let's talk about that later. Now, let's see how the family fucks us up. Let me get this book because I'm gonna be referencing it a lot. Shit, it's actually in my bedroom. Hold on a sec. Radical intimacy. So, in this book, Sophie K. Rosa has summarized the function of the family. Number one, it's to hoard property and wealth, to privatize care. It's a ideological conditioning device, according to David Cooper, a psychologist, and it is a symbol of respectability. The family is organized in service of capitalism. Because the family is pre-structured, there seems to be a lot of shoulds, right? The state, the media, the world basically keeps pushing this message that, this is a requirement to be a human in this world, right? So because the family is designed to serve capitalism, there's this narrative going around, right? Even though it was 2023, a lot of people's preferences and ways of living look really different, right? And we are starting to respect that. We're starting to normalize different ways of living. But how many of us still feel that pressure that no matter how liberated you are, we still have this unexplainable, really uncomfortable, unnerving, deeply rooted, unsettling feeling, right? That when we don't have all these achievements, when we haven't ticked these boxes of getting married, of having children, of having a house by 30 or whatever, we feel like we are not worthy. There's something wrong with us, right? Because we are being fed this narrative that we need to have children, people just do it for the wrong reasons. Especially, our parents' generation, really. I feel like now like our generation are a lot more aware of this, and we have the resources to take care of ourselves, to take care of our, mental health and things like that. And we are now seeing a lot of different alternatives of living, of being in this world, right? But our parents' generation didn't really have that. It leads to a lot of people having children when they're not ready, because they just think that this is just how it is. Well, I have to have a family, obviously. This is how to be a human in the world, as if there's like this manual of being a human in this society. There's a lack of education on how parenting actually affects people's psyches and people's behavior and emotions, which brings us to the next point, which is a lot of trauma comes from childhood. And sometimes the way we are parented, that leads to trauma. We know this from attachment theory. Bessel van der Kolk says in his book, The Body Keeps the Score, attachment researchers have shown that our earliest caregivers don't only feed us, dress us, and comfort us when we are upset, they shape the way our rapidly growing brain perceives reality. Our interactions with our caregivers convey what is safe and what is dangerous. This is what a lot of people don't really realize, right? Again, especially our parents' generation. A lot of problems actually come from a fucked up childhood and relationship with parents. And, we live in this kind of society, in the system of racism and prejudice and oppression. So again, I feel like it's so redundant for me to be saying these things because it's so prevalent. Like, we all know this. We all know that a lot of people are suffering because in so many different countries, things like healthcare, you have to work for. That's private. You have to work your ass off just so that you have good health. You have to break your back so that you can feed yourself, and you have to feed your children, right? There's even more mouths to be fed. Of course, there's so much suffering in this world. We are not supported by the government. We're not supported by all these higher institutions that shape the kind of structure of life that we are living in. So no wonder, really, that a lot of people have trauma, because trauma isn't about the thing that happens to them. Trauma is how people respond to them. It's when people react badly to something that happened, when they don't know how to react. By the way, if you're finding yourself nodding your head, please give this video a like. It's going to really help me with my mission to help people break intergenerational cycles that keep repeating and repeating and repeating, to keeping this toxicity alive. And you know what keeps all these fucked up ideologies alive? Family has a huge part in that, because the family acts as an ideological conditioning device, according to David Cooper, a psychologist. The family is where a lot of us learn that we have to identify a certain way. The family is where we learn roles. I am a child in this family, and I have all these authority figures in this little bubble of family that I am in, and they are the authorities. The family is where we learn a lot of different ideologies like race, gender, sexuality. According to radical psychoanalysts in the 60s and 70s, such as R.D. Laing, by inflicting rigid social categories and dynamics, they contended, family structures create untenable internal conflicts that cause what is then understood as mental illness. We already talked about that in the quote from Bessel van der Kolk, right? How many of us are so unhappy because our artistic tendencies are suppressed? How many of you are actually treated like you're a trophy by your parents because they didn't get to live the life that they wanted to live? They didn't get to be an ice skater because their parents wanted them to be a doctor, right? And now that they have you, the child, they are now pushing you to pursue all these things, to pursue and live the life that your parents never ever get to live. And now you are unhappy. You don't want to, break your fingers to be the best piano player in the world. You don't want to be living a soulless life, just reading a bunch of law documents to make a company even more profitable and their CEOs even richer and richer, and you are just sitting in a fucking cubicle being miserable because that's what your parents wanted. That's the requirement for you to receive love and getting your needs met by your parents. Like, of course a lot of people are suffering. Of course a lot of people are so unhappy. Whoa, hold on a second. I have a little announcement. I am so excited to be announcing that I am taking in clients again for my one-on-one coaching program to help you break up with your parents. This is for you if, no matter how many times you find a new job, a new relationship, you just keep encountering the same shitty bosses, the same shitty people, feeling like you have no choice. You still don't know what you want your life to look like because you have spent most of your life following the demands of your parents. You don't even know what you want with your life. You feel like you can't get out of this shithole until your parents change. So if that sounds like you, then this program is for you. Go on to the description box down below. You can book a discovery call with me to find out more about this, and we'll chat. Or if that just sounds a little bit too much, you don't even know yet where you stand with your parents, you don't even know yet if that's even not possible. You can't imagine that even happening. You just want someone to feel your hurt from someone who actually gets it. Then I also offer tarot readings, and again, you can find the links in the description box down below. And now, let's go back to the video. For so many of us, the family unit is where we develop shame within ourselves. We think that we're a bad person because, well, sometimes our parents actually say that to us, right? They are quite explicit about it, saying that, if you didn't follow their orders, then they would say that you are damned, that you are ungrateful, and therefore you are a bad person. You are not going to get very far in your life. Hearing all of those things, especially when you're a kid, when your brain is so spongy, when we're children, we're still very egocentric and we think that everything is about us. We don't realize that our parents or, other people are actually separate to us. That's why even we think that way, right? Where you get rejected by your Tinder date and then you think that oh, there must be something wrong with me. Maybe I should have worn a skirt, or maybe my lipstick was too dark. We start to think all these things that there must be something wrong with us. And that's because when we were children, we didn't get to learn that we are separate from other people. We didn't get to separate very properly because we're so enmeshed. But I know for myself, I grew up thinking that everything is my fault because my parents are actually, again, are very explicit about it. My mom would prevent me from saying things because, oh, your dad's gonna get mad if you do that. So, of course, no wonder now that I'm an adult, that's what I learned. A lot of things are my fault, that I have so much power over other people, when actually that's not necessarily very true. This whole narrative of blood is thicker than water, family is everything, family always has your back, no matter what, we are all family. All these narratives normalizes sweeping things under the rug, and our parents like to use their status as the authority figure to assert control over us, to let things slide, right? We let a lot of abuse slide. Sometimes we don't even consider it as abuse. Why do we set different standards when it comes to our parents? Why do we not see it as a relationship just like any other relationship that we have in our lives? With the privatization of families and care, this is where a lot of families can get away with abuse, with treating the members of the family however the fuck they want, because our parents are protected by this idea that, family matters are private. When you hear your neighbors fighting, you're gonna have to pretend like you didn't hear that, right? Because that's a private matter. You are not allowed to ask for certain things. Or, you can, but then people can get away with just not really saying anything because excuse me, that's my private matter, right? So a lot of things are just swept under the rug. Now I'm realizing that I might have a toxic relationship with my parents. Now I'm realizing that families are just so fucked up. Does this mean I am doomed? Well, check out this video next.